Good evening once again, each and everyone who is in the platform, in the streaming live in Facebook, wherever you are. Good day, good night. So thank you once again for being with me, and I'm so pleased, I'm glad, I'm thankful to my Elohim for another opportunity, another night to be with you all. Another episode of the Yahweh's Kingdom Lifestyle Ministry, presenting yours truly, Juliet Allan. So tonight is a very interesting topic, and this came up when I was building the presentation on do's and don'ts of the over-the-counter medications or medicines that I discussed previous week. So it came to me in my heart that I need to tackle this topic tonight before I could discuss further any health tips that I want to impart with you all. And really, truly, it's really beneficial to tackle important topics such as this I'm going to present to you tonight that will help us alleviate or actually prevent pains and suffering before resorting to intrusive treatments or taking medications to resolve or treat the ailments that we suffer. So my topic tonight is on forgiving and unforgiving. So the title, Forgiveness, or forgive me not, what unforgiving does to our body. So tonight, I just want to really emphasize that this, what I'm going to present is something that I come up with, and also some taken from research, from reading on previous year's studies regarding forgiveness and unforgiveness. So let me share my screen with you all. Forgive me not, what unforgiving does to the body. So again, what is forgiveness versus unforgiveness? So we may have different experiences and unique ways on how we forgive others or how we forgive ourselves. So forgiveness is not only forgiving others, also maybe in the process is also forgiving ourselves. So what is forgiveness? Forgiveness is a moral virtue where in the offended person tries over time to get rid of the toxic anger or resentment and to offer goodness of some kind to the offending person. I like this definition because it states that it's a moral virtue. It's a virtue that is very important, and it's actually commanded us in the Bible to forgive. So if you remember, the Bible instructs us to forgive and how to forgive. And also Yeshua said, forgive 70 times 7. And also in the definition, it says offer goodness of some kind. So what is this goodness of some kind? It must be genuine, sincere forgiveness that the offending person appreciated and realize that forgiveness is a key to moving on in life and attain a and healthy well-being and satisfaction also. Another term that I want to emphasize in this discussion is reconciliation. Reconciliation is not a moral virtue, something that is a choice. It may be or it may not be needed to reconcile. But what happens when we reconcile? So it's not a moral virtue, but a negotiation strategy in which two or more people come together again in mutual trust. So again, the word is trust. So it's a way of rebuilding trust towards each other. It can be applicable if the other person substantially changes and the interactions become safe. So there must be forgiving, there must be an acceptable, personable conversation or interactions that is meaningful for moving forward. So on the other side, unforgiveness is resentment. So what is resentment? It's a strong and painful bitterness having been treated unfairly. So one person who experiences bitterness is a strong and painful emotion having been experienced unfairness in treatment from an offender. It has no physical weight, but it does carry a very heavy burden that can last a very long time. It also comes in multi-layer emotion. It's a mixture of disappointment, anger, disgust, and also fear. So how can you elicit resentment? So in the face of insult and also or injury. Why do we forgive? What do we get for forgiving? There are benefits of forgiving, not only for others, towards others, also towards self. Letting go can help you attain a better sleep. Who doesn't want a good sleep? You know, ideally, we're supposed to attain at least 8 hours of sleep every night. In the past lessons or past presentations, I discussed about insomnia. And really, when you think about it, it does really affect our general health when we chronically or long-term experiencing unsleepiness or staying asleep or attaining or not attaining restful sleep. So you keep waking up in the night, something's bothering you unconsciously, it becoming psychological or mental in nature. Another benefit is to reduce incidents of harmful lifestyles such as addiction to substances and alcoholism and nicotine dependence. So have you noticed also, people who sometimes smokes, it relaxes them or it alleviates their stress and anxieties. But these are harmful lifestyle because it can cause detrimental damage to the body. It also lowers heart attack by lowering cholesterol level. Incidences of coronary heart disease will be reduced. Another is reduces pain, blood pressure, and levels of anxiety. So when you forgive, the burden is removed or can be reduced, thus reducing our pain, our experience of pain, because it becomes symptomatic physically. It becomes expressed outwardly. Also, when you forgive, it lowers your blood pressure because it relaxes your mood, your your feeling of less burden. Also reduces level of anxiety. You become less anxious. You tend to cope better. Another benefit is raise or improve your self-esteem. You may be experiencing difficulty in starting a relationship or building a relationship because your self-esteem is too low. So another benefit is it primes you for future offenses to be more understanding and compassionate towards your offenders. So it builds up your character, you're more resilient to stresses caused by others towards you, and you can handle things or challenging things better after such experience. Or you adapt, it helps you to adapt measures for future challenging behaviors from others. 7 is mental stability. Who don't want to be mentally stable? It takes a lot of effort to gain mental stability when you're overburdened by unforgiveness. A lot of hurt inside you, a lot of pain everything else and your surrounding, people that love you and care for you, people that want to help you, everything is blurred around you. The beauty around you, all the opportunities seem so blurry that you cannot step out of your emotion of pain and hurt towards unforgiveness. So those are those 7 benefits that I listed. You may have other benefits from your previous experience about going through unforgiveness. So ideally, in the process of forgiving, when we become aware, it's supposed to be quick and fully forgive. forgiving others, according to Toussaint study in 2015, is that it is associated with lower levels of depression, anxiety, and hostility, and higher positive emotion and satisfaction in life. So why do we need to forgive? That is a big question that one has to ask itself when experience pain and suffering caused by unforgiveness. The unforgiving self. The Bible said, "For if you forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you forgive not men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses." So remember the Lord's Prayer. You know, it's very meaningful. If you go through it, you will see that you needed to forgive. So your prayers is not hindered and hopefully answered. What did they say about unforgiveness or resentment? There is an inverse relation. That means there's an opposite between unforgiveness and mental health and well-being. They're inversely related. Or, when you're unforgiving, when you are, the more unforgiving you are, the less you become mentally healthy and less well, or all the negative effect of unforgiveness we suffer become inversely proportional to our physical attainment of physical health. What are the signs of unforgiveness? I just want to see, these are the things that, these are some of the lists that I could really enumerate. Most likely, you can probably identify other signs when someone is unforgiving. So one of those signs are you are experiencing bursts of anger. So sometimes without self-control, you become angry and unable to control your emotions. So one is petty and impulsive. It's overly sensitive, and little issue becomes bigger because of maladaptation or poor connection to reality. Another sign is you're desperate to make others understand how you feel. So you become more needy, you become more desperate for attention, and you want others to give you more attention, to pet with you, to join you with your emotion. Also, when you are unforgiving, you become more compulsive. Compulsive is sometimes detrimental and is negative because sometimes we become more overspender, or there's no right or wrong when we try to please ourselves and try to focus ourselves on some negative mode of expressing our unforgiveness or anger or sadness related to unforgiveness. Also, you're unable to reframe your experiences. So all your experiences become blurry and it's supposed to teach you how to manage your or control or reframe your stability. However, everything becomes so blurry that you become so focused and buried on your emotion. Another is you're not taking responsibility for your feelings. So it's just a resistance to taking responsibility for our actions, either positive or most likely negative. Also, a feeling of being unwell. You're sick because of the long-term effects of keeping our anger, our resentment, our bitterness becomes symptomatic and obviously makes us unwell or sick. Also, another sign is you're keeping a list of offenses, ruminating, over and over, thinking or ruminating the past of how you were aggravated or how an offense committed against you. Sometimes also you hate yourself. It keeps you unforgiving yourself. Sometimes you hate yourself. Why did I do this? Like, why, I let this happen to me. You're unable to move on because there's so much pain towards yourself that you cannot forgive yourself. So another sign, as I've said earlier, actually it's all same as ruminating. You replay the scene over and over and over. So you're stuck there. And there's no moving on because you just keep repeating, ruminating, and then suffering. And then it becomes so painful, unbearable, and you just cannot focus on more important things that you need to do. Another sign of unforgiveness, you gossip about your offender or offenders. You talk about your hurt, you talk about how they wrong you. You become self righteous. There you go. You are righteous and entitled. Your self righteousness, seeing yourself as entitled, and so you view others or your offender as the wrong one, as the sinful one, or evil sometimes. Another sign of unforgiveness, you exercise poor judgment. So you can't really see what is wrong or judge between right and wrong. And you just want to be right all the time. And again, failure to take responsibility of your action. Another one is you keep things to yourself. You refuse to confide in others. So confiding in others, meaning you confide, you express what you're feeling, what you're going through with someone you trust, someone who can build you up, someone who can influence you positively. So there might be other sign that you know or see oh, as a sign of unforgiveness from others or through your experience. Amos 6:12 says, "Shall horses run upon the rock, or will one plow there with oxen? For you have turned judgment into gall, and the fruit of righteousness into wormwood." So it's just bitterness that we go through. It's just allowing us to eat our own happiness and miss the beauty, the opportunity, the goodness that is awaiting for us. Now, the big question is, how do we forgive? It remains unanswered. So we keep all the negativities, all our hurts to ourselves, and we experience that over and over again, and not setting our foot to the door of forgiveness. Forgiveness doesn't happen, or it's not a choice that it can resolve right away, but it's a process. And also, everyone's situation is unique for itself, therefore, no one can judge you. So, forgive quickly and fully. But then, one or some, they don't know how. So, how do we forgive? So, we ask ourselves, what is forgiveness to us? Or what is forgiveness to you, and why it matters? Is it important to us? And how big and how small? It still matters. Start some baby steps to forgiving. Stop talking about your hurt, or the one who hurt you. Stop talking about them. Simply live through it, but stop talking about them is you start as a sign to the start to forgive, and it can lead to one step to the other, slowly destroying that wall of resentment, pain. Another one is examine your pain and hurt and how deeply affected you. So how painful is your suffering, and how hurtful it is, and how does it affects you? How does it affect your uh, daily activities or your performances, your work, your relationship with others? So once you examine it, once you check your pain and hurt, then you know how what level can you start forgiving. What are the measures you want to take to start forgiving. Empathy is a key. Empathy is, unlike sympathy, is something that is positive and allow you to explore more of that source of hurt or pain. So when you get to know more of your offender, you'll realize that forgiving is easier than you thought. So when you think, or you get to know that person, how they were, and what is their past is, how they were hurt or they must have gone through painful experiences, why they hurt others, and why they don't take responsibility sometimes of their action. So the more understanding and the more we know our offender, the more empathetic we are. Sometimes they may be suffering some certain situation that you cannot imagine, that is what you're suffering is so little compared to them. So again, that helps in our forgiving someone. Also, find meaning in your suffering. How can I find meaning in my suffering? Explore open to some opportunities like volunteering, or having some positive conversation with others who gone through some experiences, and they're able to go through and move on with their lives. And it really helps with your mentality, with your emotional health. So sometimes you just want to resort to some healthy measures like exercising or travel, or experimenting some healthy recipes, or develop new hobbies that you used to want to do, or um, develop develop new skills, or learn something. When forgiveness is hard, you may need to call upon others' strengths. So again, you may need your loved ones' strengths, being with them more, laugh with them, or do some recreational, fulfilling, and joyful activities with them. That way, you start to appreciate your environment and the people around you. Another is you may need to forgive yourself first before you forgive others. The things that you did can cloud your drive to do something good for yourself. So start unloading those negative thoughts and emotions, and start living positively and enjoy the opportunities that are waiting for you. So eventually you will develop a forgiving heart when we start to forgive. So those are some tips, or help tips to forgive and how to forgive. So others may have other experiences that help them go through a certain situation that help them forgive. And also in the platform, or on your streaming live right now in Facebook, you may think of some other measures that you have and help you overcome unforgiveness. Again, the big question, why do I need to forgive? First thing you tell yourself, I cannot take back how it was. Ideally, we really cannot take back how it was. Depending on the severity, you may, involve a loss of a loved one, an accident, or somebody just, take an offense literally, deliberately, and somehow the more we are conscious that they are deliberately or intently did what they've done, is less that we're more likely forgiving. Another is you may want to tell yourself, I want to live optimally to the best of my abilities to attain peace and also prosperity. When I say prosperity, it doesn't mean money or things that we acquire, but a prosperity that we allow ourselves to experience opportunities inside and out. Also to improve our relationship with others. Your loved ones may be there patiently waiting that you'll be able to forgive someone or themselves to be able to improve their relationship or show their affection or their love for you or their support for you. So by removing that hindrance or wall between them, we can able now to express fully our affection, our sincere forgiveness towards the person or also towards each other. You may have offended each other. So now you start to develop the mutual trust again. Another one, you may need to tell yourself, I'm a free person in Yeshua, also born with a promise in Almighty. So this one is more in depth. Personally, reading the scripture, reading the word has been a backbone in my life, and really, truly, it helps. It really, really is a breath of life and a breath of life. So you consider yourself free because, everything else has been done for you. That's why it's in the Bible says and instructs us to forgive, so we can forgive us. You may need to tell yourself your focus is needed in the here and now. So your center of focus may need to be directed to here and what is important now, because tomorrow is not guaranteed. You may as well enjoy what is today and hope for tomorrow that what you plant today determines how fruitful you are tomorrow. So those again are some tips or some advice I can come up with, and I would love to also hear from you or share with others what you think helps you to forgive yourself and others. Forgiveness is about goodness. It's about extending mercy to those who harmed us, when even if they don't deserve it. So think about it. It's all about goodness. It's about extending mercy to those who harm us, even if they don't deserve it. So that's my presentation, and I really appreciate your support. So let's go to question, comments section. I see iPhone Victoria, go ahead.
Yeah, when you were talking a while ago and talking about forgiveness, I was thinking that we're made in the image of the Most High, our Father, and I see a pattern of him getting really angry when we do something to offend him. And he keeps that anger up for a long time. I know his time is not measured, it's eternity. But I was thinking, yeah, so why can't I be like him and keep my anger for a long time? And then you said a mouthful. You said, the more you know your offender, the easier it is to forgive them. And I thought, wow, that almost brought tears to my eyes because I never thought about it that way. My way of looking at it was, I'll forgive you after I punch you out, after I really hurt you because you hurt me, then I can forgive you. But now that, you said the person may be hurting inside and there are things about your offender you don't know, and I see it totally differently now.
That's right. Thank you for that observation. So, really, truly, that is one of the ways, even a key way to really overcoming forgiveness, because we tend to judge a person right away when they commit an offense, not only towards us, even if we're witnessing somebody offended somebody, right away we judge. And truly, what caused that offense? Or also, why did they commit that offense? Are they sorrowful? All right, Kefa, go ahead.
Yeah. Shalom, sis. Shalom.
Um,
A question for you, right? Okay. Let's say there's this person, right? That their whole, well, not whole life, but like for a certain amount of years, like let's say, like years meaning like 15, 20, them half a years there, like their whole life, a hundred years, like, like they have been very unforgiving, right? Now, how would what would you tell somebody else that is trying to make them see that they so that they're supposed to forgive in order to heal, in order for their own health sake? What, like, what would you tell that person? What is the advice you would give that person that being unforgiven for all them years?
yes, thank you. Thank you for that question. Really, we go back to who they are to us, but then every person is very important, right? So the Father created everyone. What did He command us to do? To love Him. And also, what is the other thing? Is to love your neighbor. He is your neighbor. Your offender is your neighbor. And even so, that person still have a soft spot in their heart to change. And you're hopeful and better believe it that if you show love, that you overlook their trespasses, it's a credit of healing towards your path to forgiving or forgiveness. So even though they keep offending you, they keep committing offense towards you deliberately, intentionally, over and over again. Showing love is, it's a very broad subject, and truly, again, if you get to know that person, why they are bitter, why they are very, very challenging, why they are very difficult, you know, there's none better than expressing love towards them, not necessarily, you know, expressing words verbally, you know, affectionate, but simply smiling, or simply, you know, um, just being there. You're not reacting, you're not, you let that love um, show by not responding, or verbally being aggressive towards their abuse, or towards their um, offense. But sometimes we have to use sound judgment. It becomes, if it becomes violent, then, you know, simply walk away, or avoid that conversation, or attack for a certain period of time. They may need to come down, or you may need to separate for a little while for them to realize that their action is very offending and very detrimental towards others. You know, it's sometimes it's very challenging when you're very um, you know, experiencing that hurt and pain. Sometimes because you care, because you love, it's you develop trust, and they broke that trust, or even fail to develop trust towards you, and expressing that mistrust all the time. But, you know, just expressing, or just not being combative, or deliberately uh, vengeful. Vengeful is actually even also one of the sign of bitterness, or our intent to retaliate, or tend to take that revenge, either premeditated, or, you know, come into fruition. So it's better to just, sometimes even silence helps, and just you know, understand, being more compassionate of what they're going through. But again, if it's detrimental, physically violent, or abusive, definitely you have to flee or stay away. But showing love, if they're there and uh, didn't resent you, or willing to live with you, or, you know, sometimes you may just need to tell them, hey, you know, you hurt, how you dealing with me is so hurtful. I don't want to experience it anymore. You know, I want to I want to see more positive outcomes of our relationship. And so you two may need to figure out how you come up with certain measures to just live peacefully. Um, you know, others may have some comments, need to support on the questions. You are feel free to participate and add to the comment. Um, any, are you satisfied? Kefa, anything else, or you still have some questions?
Yeah, shalom, shalom. Yeah, I'm just saying, but great session, but this evening. All right, shalom.
Shalom. Um, yeah, so really, we just have to just think that nobody deserves forgiveness. And that's my thing. But when we forgive, we don't set expectation from others. We don't have control of others' way of thinking, their way of action, and how they respond to us. It's our choice to use our sound judgment if we're heading to something that is not helpful. We tend to flee or step aside and rethink, what does it do to me? So as I've said, there's also you may need to see the positive side of that person. You know, hey, I noticed you helped someone yesterday, so you may need to initiate this conversation. Maybe that just one say, you know, that that one word alone, you know, saying hello or hey, would initiate positive conversations. Do not be afraid. I know one of those detrimental sign includes fear, or how you overcome that fear. If they're not being violent, or they are substantially extending that sincere apology, then you know it's good to start a conversation and go from there. So do not be afraid. You know, there's fear is one of the hindrances why communication is extended in in a less meaningful way. So just you know, forgiveness, when you're aware that you need to forgive, you know, you have to go over your priorities. If you have spouse, if you have children, if you have parents that needing your attention, rather than focusing on your bitterness, you know, it helps you to move on and start enjoying peace, start enjoying your life. And I could say that it's been well. I mean, going through this, building this presentation, I've picked up a lot of knowledge, and really, you know, it helps in developing myself also in maybe in the future offenses, or something that needing correction, or you know, needing a resolve in my life. So I hope it helps you. It helps also to for you to develop yourself, to aid you later on when you face some challenging situation and somebody offend you. So you are, you know, sometimes it's hard to take it into like extending your offender. Really, I forgive you. It's not easy. Sometimes you may need to not to say I forgive you when you really don't, because it's more that you go back and you know add more pain and suffering towards yourself. So yeah, just that's just I really want to impart. Any other question? iPhone Victoria, go ahead.
What about instances where you think you've forgiven that person because time has gone by? Let's say something happened. I'm being literal time, using literal time here.
Yeah.
25 years ago, someone did something to offend you, and you just kind of put it under the rug, you forget about it, or you think you've forgotten about it. And then one day they offend you again. And then it just comes back like it happened 5 minutes ago. You remember when that time you did so and so and so, and then you just raise the whole thing afresh. And you thought you had forgotten about it, but okay, just let me be honest in saying I have the kind of brain, things just don't go away, even if I want to. Even if
Mhm.
honestly I want to forget about something, if you're close to me and you do something to me, it's not going away. If you mean nothing to me, then it'll be like you never did anything. But if you're close to me and you offend me, sorry, it's staying there. It even if I try it, I can't forget.
Yeah, that's true, because there's still unresolved hurt that was you may have relocated somewhere far, far away from that person, and your focus went somewhere else. But then over time, certain situation somehow it still remind you, and you didn't do any steps to go and resolve that problem, and it comes back haunting you. And what do? You may have gained more insight on how to be resilient for certain situations, but that area, that certain issue in your life was left unresolved. And when you see that person, it's like it becomes fresh again. But you may have adopted other measures that, you know what, I just literally have been holding on for such a long time that I could have been more productive. I could have been happier, and I could have been more sensitive to it. And I should have tried to do my best to resolve that issue every time it comes up. And for for sure, it certain situation that you come through will remind you of certain of that offense for sure. And really, right there and then, what do? And one day you become, you encounter that person again, and you do your best to resolve and reconnect. That person may probably move on and not even remember um, that he offended. So do we keep waiting for an apology? Do we keep waiting for resolution of that? We ourselves have to start right away and examine how important it is to forgive and overcome that situation. And really, they probably have been keeping it as well, and causing them stress, anxiety. And so one of the characteristic of unforgiveness is suppression. Again, like grief and loss, I said suppression is something that you just suppress or ignore that memory or painful situation or painful encounter, and you just direct it to somewhere else, and it stayed there in your unconscious mind. And you know sometimes it just come out, and it also sometimes tend, depending how grave it is, it can make you react um, hostile or upset, and not realizing that you haven't overcome that situation. So really, truly, we need to forgive right there and then. It has been too long.
Isn't it healthier though to like just really have it out
It,
and then don't hold on to it after that? But to me, if you don't like really settle it, like I mean really settle it, to me it'll always be there. No matter how long it's happened, you may think you've forgotten, but unless to me you really, really like settle that thing, it it's not going away. I'm not saying we shouldn't forgive, but it's just so hard if you don't settle it. I think settling it is healthy, and then you forget about it, because if you settle it and you're still keeping it, then then you didn't settle it. What's the point? But I think it's good to hash it out, like really have it out, and then you say, okay, I said my piece, so I did my piece. That's it. I don't want to hear about it anymore, you know?
yeah, true. True. You have to express it in any way, and the same thing as stress, same thing as your source of the hurt. You have to go through a certain you have to go through a process. You have to be angry, and then you become um, you banter, or you compromise, or you debate within you. Shall I have to face this, or no, I cannot face it? So it's your choice, but eventually you will have to face it eventually. Yes, Kefa.
Yeah. Now I'm going to speak a little on my experience on unforgiveness concerning myself. Before I will say that I was an unforgiving person. Why I said that is because of certain thing, thing that happened, and it just made me more bitter, more angry, more he was just all pointing to negativity, right, and just hate and all that other stuff. But then now I had to change for my sake, right? And because I was I was on the verge of changing my life around, because I had found this truth at that time, right? So I made the choice to change for my sake. And thing is there, let me tell you, forgiving and letting go is a big weight being released from your shoulder. And because to have that unforgiveness for somebody, you will always feel tied down, and you will always feel like, oh, you're getting nowhere. Especially if you meet that person that you have issue with, it just turns your mood, and you have to do all that work and you get vexed on. That's too much. That's way too much, right?
Yeah.
So it's like forgiving. It's a big weight being released because that person do you wrong. You can see that person and you will feel light, and then you will know that you truly forgive that person. How you know how to know you forgive somebody, that same individual, when you claim you forgive them, go to them, right, and see if you still feel what you was feeling before, because this is what this is what happened to me, and it's an amazing feeling. Let me tell you. So I just decided to just share this experience with you. So yeah.
Thank you. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
How did you how did you forgive this person? Like how did you express? How did you show to that person that you forgive him? Did you have to tell him you forgive him, or did you have to show some kind of expression, verbally or emotionally, towards that person? How
Okay.
did you
Okay. Well, I will tell. I will tell you what I did. Right. First, now I had to humble myself because pride was there. Let me tell you, wh- wh- one of the reasons why people are unforgiving, and I heard you said it, is because they have pride. They don't want to lower themselves. They always want to be on a hill, right? But now what I had it first, I had to first humble myself, right?
right,
Right?
right,
And then I come to the individual, I talk to the individual, I tell the individual what I am going to do and the reason I'm going to do it, in order for us to move on, and there's clear, like we are saying, the how we make a clean slate, right? To just wipe whatever hurt or pain, whatever it caused throughout the years or months or whatever it is. You know, I forgot to tell the person that, like, basically everything that I did was in the past, but now it's the future, and I want us to move on. I don't want that pain to always be there. I basically target the things that was causing the unforgiveness, the whole vibes, right? Because it's impossible to go through all the details. That's just impossible because it could be a lot, right? But now I target the main points, that because you will know the main points, because when you see that person, you will remember either they stole your stuff, or they hurt you, or a past relationship. You will always know the main cause of that unforgiveness. You will always know, right? So now I had to target that. I had to really make the person understand that I am willing to move fo- forward and release it. And after I did that, let me tell you, like, I just started to feel different. Yeah.
Thank you. That's right. When you're expressing verbally, you're creating a contract. It doesn't, it's not like you're avoiding. It's like you both facing situation together. It's not like you're heading that way and I'll head this way so we can avoid it. It's what one need to do in order to offset or avoid a remembrance of that situation towards in the part of the other person. So that also express love, because you're being sensitive to the other's need, the need for not reminding about the past. And really and truly, if you forgive, you don't make mention of anything of what happened, or you know raising up the issue, the wrong that they did. And also um, knowing that we ourselves also take offense towards another. So when it says forgive, so also your sins may be forgiven. So that's very important to really tackle, address the concern of what each other's needs, that you may need to um, explore more of your possibilities to reconnect, to expound your relationship, to improve, and also um, accepting others in our lives, willing to help us, willing to understand us. They do all they can to support that um, pain that we're going through, by not raising any issues that trigger our emotions. And going through this, eventually we can laugh about it, we can talk about it. You know no matter what circumstances maybe that raise up the same issue, it doesn't hurt us anymore. And how good the feeling, that time that you will be in that state or position that you truly within you have forgiven. So again, it's a process, and you tend to address it, how deeply you are hurt, express that to the person, how deeply you're hurt, so they know that you are hurting. And truly, it will give them insight of how you are. And don't let it in a way that it affects you, affect your health. And again, those person that are going through stress of unforgiveness and tend to become more uh, self-righteous and or proud. Yeah, you're right, you say pride, right? So the pride really is not good towards self, because you tend to elevate yourself and then forget the other, and you believe you can move on without having to forgive or reconcile. And how about that person? They may be suffering. It may cause them to get sick and be so stressful and unable to move on. And you have to be the more conscious you are, you have to just um, address that issue with them. Is there anything else? Thank you, Kefa, for that really important testimony or experience that help us out. Maybe somebody's going through the same thing, and really, truly, the more hurt we go through, like abuse or those more hurtful stuff, it's really needs somebody to be understanding and more compassionate for that person. And it's not that we just let them be and eventually they go over it, but having seen them going through it and suffering, we can help by just overlooking the offense. And if we are the source of support, then we tend to help and alleviate that suffering. Um, Maybe redirecting that current emotion to something more positive at that time. But really addressing it is a key to forgiving. And sometimes you just do something more positive with them. Can I help you with anything? So, like, just, simple approach. It may be hard, but sometimes you may need to leave a note or write a letter, or, it just something that may be for them, but for you. Is there anything else? Any more question? Any more comment? I really do appreciate it. um, Lachey, is it Lena? Sister Lena, are you on? Sister Amber, really appreciate your coming on the platform. And if you missed it, our topic is forgive me not, what it does, what unforgiving does to the body. You are free to share your comment, question. And truly, it's not a one-day resolution. We can talk about it down the road again for your additional comments or question. You after this, especially to those who are unable to come on the platform, those in Facebook or YouTube, you may be experiencing pain and suffering due to unforgiveness. You may need to make that decision right away to forgive and take measure and set your foot at the door to open up some opportunity to enjoy uh, the, the the opportunities that awaits for you, and start experiencing happiness and total and fully forgiving, and forgiving self and forgiving others. So if there's no other question or comment, thank you so much for participating. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your question and comments. I really do appreciate it. And again, it may need to readdress some more issues down the road, and may need again your support, and also your participation would probably help one or two. We don't know who is and who is not going through, or may need to share some comments. Really do appreciate it. So thank you so much. Really appreciate this platform. Really thank you for Yahweh's Kingdom Lifestyle Ministry. If you have comments, you can email us there as well. Yahweh Kingdom Lifestyle Ministry at gmail.com. And also through Facebook, you can leave your comment and suggestions for future presentation. Again, yours truly, Juliet Allan. Thank you for participating. Really do appreciate it once again. Shalom. Have a good night. And also good day to those on the other side of the world, families, friends. Shalom.
Enjoyed your discussion.